Shalom everyone, and welcome to our Rosh Chodesh study about Rosh Chodesh Av, Menachem Av, or the month of Av, or the month of Leo in the calendar. Now, the month of Av is very special because Leos are special people, and even if they are not special people, they think they're special people, and we'll see why is it like this. So, but first of all, we have, we can look at it from the simple Kabbalistic tree of life study formulas. Okay, so if the year is made of 4 seasons, 4 seasons are connected to the 4 letters of the Tetragrammaton, Yud, K, Vav, K, which stand for the 4 Sefirot, Chokhmah, Binah, Zeir Anpin, and Malchut, and also the 4 elements, while the Yud stands for the fire, the Hey stand Binah, stand Yud, fire, Chokhmah, Hey, which is water, Binah, Vav is air, Zeir Anpin, or Tiferet, and the last Hey is Malchut, and it is earth. 4. Now, the month of Leo is the second month of the summer. What does it mean? That the dominant power of the summer, the dominant power is the power of water, because it is Binah. And Binah, if you look at the tree of life, you see that Binah is on the top of the left side. So a lot of people think that this is more like fire, but it is not, because there is something when you study that arouses, and which is the what is special about Binah. It is Chafetz Chesed, the wanting Chesed, wanting to do good, and that's why what I said already last month, when I spoke about the month of Cancer, that the energy behind the 3 months of the summer, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo, is the energy of water, and that means sensitivity, drama, and sharing, giving. And that means that the month of Cancer, the people who are Cancerians, they have the drive to give and to share, even to the extent of like obsession, and sometimes even oppression by, you need to take what I want to give you. Same story with Leo. Leo, they want, how do they give you? They have this conviction, and many times they are right, that they see better than you are, so they must be the ones who tell you what to be done, because they are the one that can see what's going on. And the game is that if you look at the name of the month in Hebrew, Aryeh, a lion, it's the same letters as Re'iyah, sight, which means those people of the month of Leo, they have an ability that is very rare to see what other people do not see. And they have the conviction that because I see what others do not see, I am the one who's going to tell you what should be done. So they have, their obsession is that I'm the one who's giving the orders. Okay? And as we go to the month of Virgo, we said they are at service and give you, a lot of details. Okay, but you find among the Virgos, a lot of people in the civil servants, or treating, healing, stuff like this, or accounting, because they're very good with numbers, and they have the ability to find exactly the accuracy of stuff. So let's go back to Leos. There's another thing. If we look about these 3 months, so we have in the background, they're all water, which means the urge to share and to give. And with Leo, we have a little problem. Why? Because Leo is the second of these 3. And if we have 3, it's almost always connected to right, left, center column. Right is Chesed, water. Left is Gevurah, judgment, fire. And center is air, balance, which is air, which is the Tiferet. Now, so if we understand that on top of the water, the month of Leo, there is also the energy of fire. Fire means, which means energy, a lot of energy. Leos, they just thrive with energy. And selfishness, which means it's about me. And if we know that also, when we are talking about the sign of Leo, okay, it is also in the conventional astrology, it is also a fire. According to Kabbalah, it's also fire, but that's only the third layer. So there are 3 layers in the understanding of the sign of Leo. Water is beneath all, then fire, and then there's another fire. Which means on the outside, you could see Leo as a very, very, very typical fire sign. It's all about them. It's all about the drama about them and themselves. A lot of energy. It's almost hard to see them lethargic, or like because there's so much fire, and also super sensitivity. That's the water. And of course, drama. Okay? Water and drama that goes together. And Leo without drama, it's not, it's like this, a Leo without drama, I don't know, it's like a fish without water. Okay? It's part of their lives. It's like many times you have no idea when is reality starting and when we're still in the drama. And they live in their own drama, and that's why Leos are very good actors. A lot of great actors are Leos. Also politicians, because a good politician is also a great actor. Because you can have like the greatest ideas, but if you can't make a good drama out of it, you can't sell it and nobody will buy it. So you go around with your, like, I have great ideas. Do you want to listen to my ideas? You know, if you can't make a big drama, you can't sell the ideas. Therefore also, if you are a teacher and you don't have this ability to create a drama, so you can say the most amazing, interesting stuff in the most boring way, you know, these kind of teachers, they're not supposed to teach. That's not your job. Write a book. Okay? But if you can tell a story, if you can make a drama, a scene out of, you know, the most boring information, people will remember that. Okay? That's why you need some Leo in order to be a teacher. And for Leos, it's also very good. When you're a teacher, you're standing in the class, everybody is looking at you for hours. What else does a Leo want? Right? To be in the center of the things. So when we understand that, we understand a lot about the nature of the Leos. So now, we still know the month of Leo is part of the 3 weeks, the beginning of it, till the 9th, and some in the 10th of Av. And how does that go? So here we're going to the great Bnei Sachar. Okay, I just heard that you can get the book in English. Okay, the Bnei Sachar, which is like this Hasidic great sage who lived some 200 years ago in Galicia, in eastern Poland, and he got together all the Jewish resources of astrology about every month, and about also the other times like Shabbat and Rosh Chodesh and stuff like this. And he's saying, he's quoting from the Tikkunei Zohar, and when he talks about Av, the month of Av, Leo, he talks also in the same time about the month of Cancer, Tammuz. צירוף הוויה השולט בחודש Tammuz, I'll also go with that because you see it's connected. What's connected? What's the connection between Cancer and Leo? First of all, what's in common? Cancer is being ruled by the moon, and Leo is ruled by the sun. The moon and the sun, this is the biggest drama in the skies. They are the stars. You know, a person can go for a whole life without ever knowing where is Mars in the sky right now. And he won't even have a problem with that. Correct? A person can go around for all his life without ever knowing where is planet Jupiter in the sky. But you can never, you can never not notice where is the sun, which is the ruling, bodily, heavenly body that is ruling a Leo. And that's why if you are a Leo and the sun is behind you, and the sun is in the middle of the drama, the daily drama, sunrise, sunset, and every human's life and plant and animal runs and rotates around the sun's drama, which is the biggest show. Okay, we all affected from it. Still, as the same way we studied about the month of Cancer, the moon is the ruling planet of one sign and one sign alone, which is Cancer, which is all of this huge power is concentrated in 1 month, which means a lot of power, and that means a lot of, carefulness that you need to take. Same thing with Leo. Now you have to be even more careful. For example, let's say you're driving a Ferrari, on a highway that you can drive as fast as you can. Of course that you have to be much more skilled and careful, because one little mistake of moving the wheel can really send you up in the air and rolling on the floor, and who knows what will be the results. If you're just driving a small, one of these mini cars that can go no more than just 50 miles an hour, and you make the same mistake, that's not going to be noticed even. But when you're sitting on such a powerhouse like this, the engine of this sport luxurious car, and you drive to the highest speed, this is really needs a lot of care. And therefore, if you have this engine that is called the sun behind you, when you are a Leo, making mistakes, the consequences are much more intense if you are a Leo, because the energy over here is much more intense. And therefore, we need to be really careful during these 2 months. But somehow there is a difference. And here, look what he's saying. What we know from the Tikkunei Zohar, that it's like all 70 teachings about the word Bereshit. It's a book by itself in the Zohar. I did never seen a translation into English. Although I know about somebody who did translate it, I don't know if he published it. Okay, so the combination or the permutation of the Youdkevitch that is ruling Bechodesh Tammuz, in the month of Tammuz, is Hey Vav Hey Yud. Yotze mi pasuk, it comes from the verse from the book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 13. V'cho ze enenu shoveli, which Haman said, all of this doesn't worth it, and that's the last letter of each word comes to Hey Vav Hey Yud. Why doesn't worth it? With all his glory, he couldn't stand it that Mordechai is alive. And Tziruf Havaya of the month of Menachem Av, of Leo, is Hey Vav Yud Hey, which comes from the Torah in the book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 3, where it says, and here the hand of God will be in your flocks, and will be in, the word is Hoya. Hoya is tetragrammaton, but in a different order. And now what does it mean? What do we learn out of it? that the permutation, צירוף של חודש תמוז הוא למפריע לגמרי. The permutation of the month of Tammuz is totally backwards. Yud K Vav K, K Vav K Yud. Exactly backwards. Okay? And therefore, when Haman said it in order to destroy Mordechai, the judgment he created came back to him and killed Haman. Not just this, Esther counteracted that, because at that time, exactly when he was saying that, Esther goes to the king and he says, "What is your wish, Esther?" And she says, "Yavo hamelech vehaman hayom el hamishte." I invite, but she said in a different way. She said, the king and Haman would come to me for the feast. The initials, Yavo, Hamelech, Vehaman, Hayom, Yud-K, Vav-K. She turned it backwards, back into mercy from judgment. And that was a counter magic against Haman's dark magic. Okay? So we learn from that, if the permutation of the Tetragrammaton for Cancer is judgment, we know we need to be really careful during this month. Because these days are not with days that are blessed with a lot of mercy, not so much. Also, we learn it from the Zohar on Parashat Shmot, that when Moses is born, and it says that his mother hid him for 3 months. So we know, yes, practically the mother of Moses hid him 3 months after he was born. She couldn't hide him anymore, and then she put him in the ark on the Nile. However, the Zohar said this is also a metaphysical code, saying there are 3 months along the year that we are not under protection shield. What does it mean? If we look around, I don't know if you know this, but when you look around the way people go in their lives, sometimes people are so careless that you would look at what's going on with them and you say, if it was just the laws of cause and effect, that person is not supposed to be alive anymore. How does he still alive? How does that person still have a roof above his head? That's a miracle. It's not logical. Which means there is a protection. Without that protection, we would kill ourselves much earlier than we do. Okay? But 3 months along the year, the protection shield is not that obvious. It's not that strong. And that means we have to be much more careful during those days, especially in Tammuz, Av, and Tevet, Capricorn. Okay? Now, בצירוף השם של חודש אב, if we go to the permutation of the month of Av, תחילתו הוא למפרע וחציו השני י"ק כסדר. What is the permutation of the month of Av? Hey Vav, which is half of the Yud-K Vav-K backwards. It's Vav-K backwards. But the next one, the next half is Yud-K, which is normal. Which means, he says the Bnei Issachar, we learn from that the first half of the month of Av is a lot of judgment. So we need to be really careful during the first half of the month. However, the second half of the month, it is positive because it is forward. So therefore, we have to be really careful most of the first half of the month, especially the first 9-10 days, the 9th of Av and the day after. However, the 15th of Av is the holiday of love, which is, this is the most amazing day along the year in which there's a kind of there's a conjunction between a full moon and the peak high of midsummer. Because the sun and the moon, they have 2 cycles. The sun has its own cycle, which is a 365 days and a quarter for a cycle. That's a sun cycle. What happens with that cycle? The peak of the cycle is midsummer day. Okay? Now, the peak of the lunar cycle is the full moon. When the middle of the month of Av which is the peak of the summer, and it's also under the rulership of the sun, when that converges with the full moon, what do we have? If the moon symbolizes the cosmic female force. Okay? The female force is, when we say about soul and body, it's like the soul is the male, the body is the female. God, creator and creation, male and female again. The moon is the female, it has a cycle, the monthly cycle like a female. The sun is the male. How do we know? The light of the sun is always flowing. The fact that we put our back to it during the night, the sun does not stop from shining. How do you know? You look at the moon, and the moon has no light of its own. It's only reflecting the sun's light. And therefore, we are also the creation. We have no light of our own. We have only the light that we reflect from the Creator. So, when you have the once a year peak of the sun converging with once a month peak of the moon, that's called the 15 of love, and it's called the holy day of love, because what is love? When the male and the female and are converging in unity, and that's called the full moon. Okay, therefore, this is a day that the frequency of harmony and positivity and happiness is the highest along the whole cycle of the year. And that happens in the month of Av. So it's not such a negative day. It's a positive day. It's a day that is very good to find your soulmate or to find anything that you're looking for, because the energy is an energy of the ultimate positive cosmic harmony. 15 of Av. From the 15th of Av and on, מתעוררים הרחמים והתחלת התעוררות התשובה היא להבינה. From the 15th of Av and on, the cosmic mercies of flight, of mercy, and repentance are awakening, which means a lot of people think it starts on the day of the Slichot, which is the new moon of Elul, of Virgo. No, it starts on the full moon of Leo. So the days of repentance are being like the energy of repentance. What is the energy of repentance? The energy of repentance is basically the energy of homecoming. Because being negative means being in exile. You're being cut off. When a person is really in tune with the power of the creation, then the power, that's called Teshuva, homecoming. Okay? You are back into where you're supposed to be. You are online again. After a long time, you're being offline, which is before Tshuva, which means the ability to connect to that wave, that if you ride that wave, it's easy for you to feel like finding your own soul and finding your own calling. This is from the 15th of Av. So, and that goes on till Sukkot, till Yom Kippurim, till Sukkot, till Simchat Torah, and then the new year starting. Okay? So, we have to be careful mostly on the first half, because that's Vav K. I'm sorry, Hey Vav. Backwards. Okay? But the second half of the month, this is Youdkevitch, this is forwards, and that means the energy is not just a negative energy, this is a wave that we have to ride, the wave that will prepare us for the days of Teshuva, of Elul, and then the days of Teshuva, of Tishrei. Now, what else do we see? We see also that in Sefer Yetzirah, in the book of Formation, it says, Perek chapter 5, המליך אות חטא בעירייה וקשר לו כתר צפן זה בזה ויצר בהם סרטן בעולם. The sign of Cancer has been created from the influence and the DNA frequency of the letter Chet. Okay? And then it says, המליך אותת בשמיעה וקשר לו כתר צפן זה בזה, יצר בהם אריה בעולם. The sign of Leo is being ruled or controlled or created by the cosmic energy of the letter Tet. Now what is Tet? Tet is the letter, the Zohar says, that symbolize good. How do you say good in Hebrew? Tov. Starting with the letter Tet. Now when the world is being created, what it says? And God said, let there be light. And then it says, and God saw that the light is good. We learn from that everything, says the Zohar, in the world that is good is a direct radiation of that original light that God said, let there be light. So when you want something, what is that you want? You really want the light. When you're fulfilled with the light, you don't care anymore. If you want chocolate or ice cream or a steak or whatever, you don't care. The moment you're fulfilled with the light, everything goes. Because everything else is just a mean, and the light is the goal. But when it speaks about that manifestation of the light, it says Tov, good. And the word Tov starts with the letter Tet. And the letter Tet, if you look at it, says as well, it's like a circle, and then there's a line coming in from outside of the circle, inside the circle. And that reminds us the circle of light, after the Tzimtzum, and the line of light coming down to our world. So that's why the Zohar says that the letter Tet symbolizes good and harmony. And therefore, if you see the letter Tet in your dream, it's a sign that your troubles are over. Why? It's time to experience and enjoy the good. Tov. However, so what's wrong? So, something like this, how could a letter like this be responsible for a month that is in negative? So we understand from that the month of Elul was not that negative to begin with. Only after the sin. Now, how do you say sin in Hebrew? Chet. How do you write it? Chet, tet. Chet for Cancer, tet for Leo. What does it mean? The amazing, powerful, positive light of Cancer and Leo, because of the sin of Adam, transformed, changed, corrupted into those negative months that so many calamities in the history of mankind or humanity happened because of that negativity. By the way, there's another thing. It says, there's a legend that says that the fruit of the tree of knowledge was wheat. How do you say wheat in Hebrew? Chita. How do you write it? Chet, tet. Which means the sin is riding on it. By the way, did you ever try to eat wheat? Just to eat wheat as is. You know what? To eat cooked wheat. I know that in the schena or the dafina, which is the chulent of the Moroccans, they love to put wheat in a bag, and that cooks all Shabbat. But I don't know, if you eat cooked wheat, the recovery will be slow and hard. Okay? This is very, very heavy. However, if you grind the wheat, and make flour out of it, it's much better to digest it. It's called bread. If you add water and you bake it, right? What's the difference? The grinding. How do you say grinding in Hebrew? Techina. You heard the word techina? tahini? It's coming from the Hebrew word to grind. Because what is tahini? Tahini is ground sesame seeds. But the word, the verb in Hebrew means to grind. The noun is tahini, but it's a Hebrew word. What do you hear in tahini? First the tet, then comes the chet. Which means you change the order. When the tet comes first, because of the physical grinding, there's something in the energy that changes, that when you eat bread, which is baked wheat, it's much lighter than to eat the grains of wheat cooked as is. Physically, it's the same material. Something does happen when you grind it. You change the order from chet, a sin, to techina, okay, ground. Very interesting. Same way, the Kabbalistic teaching is, what do you do, how do you call the action when you chew up your food? Techina, same verb. What do? You have to think that when you chew your food up, you are breaking the physical or metaphysical negativity, materialistic negativity that is harnessing or imprisoning the holy sparks in your food. And by the way, what's the rules of kosher? Do you know what kosher means in Hebrew? Fitness. Fitness. In Israel, how do you call a fitness center? Kosher center. That's the word, machon kosher. When somebody says, oh, okay, I'm going to the gym. What do you say in Hebrew? I'm going to do kosher. What's the connection? Because kosher means in Hebrew fitness. What's the connection to food? The kosher food, it means that it fits for your body and your soul. If it's not kosher, it means that the energy frequencies do not fit your body and your soul. Not a lot of people, in America, kosher means clean. No. Kosher in Hebrew means fitness. The question is, does that food fit my soul and your body in the process of tikkun, or doesn't fit it? Which means, why we're not supposed to eat pork? It's not kosher. What does it mean? If there are any holy sparks in the pork, me as a Jew, I cannot elevate those sparks from there. Therefore, it's not kosher for me. It doesn't have the fitness to fit my job. So when I chew up my food, I have to meditate, says Rabbi Zakluria, to break the physical bond that harness and imprison the holy sparks. And the first stage is the grinding, the techina, breaking those imprisonments on the holy sparks. So there are meditation. This is the meditation for grinding, techina. Okay, now after we breaking it by grind, that's why it is not healthy spiritually to gulp your food in without chewing it up. There's a whole religion when people are vegans about grinding your food. You have to drink your solids, which means don't swallow till you completely chewed it up. Okay? And there are lots of physical issues, diseases, when people, they gulp the food in without it's completely chewed up. Okay? Why? According to the Zohar, you just chew it up without breaking the klipot yet. So your teeth can deal with that, but your stomach cannot deal with those negativities, and then you have a problem. Okay, so after we understand that, so we understand that the letters of Chet and Tet are not so, when they come in that order, Chet and Tet, that could be not so good. And the Bnei Yisachar brings a proof for it. There's a story in the end of the book of Bereshit, Parashat Vayichi. And it says over there that when the brothers, the 12 sons of Jacob, were standing around his bed, and he says to them, as a prophet, let me tell you what will happen with you at the end of the days. And then what follows, there's no prophecy about the end of the days. So the sages are answering that the moment Jacob started to say to prophesy, his prophecy disappeared. And he was in shock. Why is it that my prophecy disappeared? And then he tells the brothers, maybe you guys have sinned, and because of that sin, I lost my prophecy because I'm not entitled to give you such a holy information. And what was the answer of the sons of Jacob? Says the Midrash, they say, no, there is no sin amongst us, and the proof is that if you look at our names, the letters Chet and Tet do not appear in any of the names of the 12 sons of Jacob. Which means the letters Chet and Tet really symbolize sinning. Okay? Going off course. Okay? And therefore, these 2 months, Cancer and Leo, are really, it's like you should need to have like this, like the symbol of handle with care on your glasses or glasses with that, which means like whatever gets you really excited, cool it down. Cool it down, because the eruption of the fire can be really devastating. Okay? When we're talking about what fire? Ego, pride. We're starting with the spies. They were the chosen ones to be the first one to experience the Holy Land. What did they do with that? They turned it into the sin of the spies. They died on that day, the 9th of Av, and because the whole nation listened to them on that day and got into the drama, oh, they cried the whole night. What did God do to us? He took us from Egypt and brought us to a land that it is impossible to conquer. Fake news. Just think about it. 2 years ago, we brought Egypt to its knees. Right now, the Canaanites, which are the vassals, the serfs of the Egyptians, we can't, we won against the master. We can't win against the slave, the servant, Canaan. Illogical. Yeah, but when you have a good show, you don't let the facts to see, you don't let the facts to get you out of seeing the picture as a drama that has been shown to you. Okay, so what we understand that sinning is very, very dangerous during this time, especially the ego. We know that these days are also really, really heavy loaded with negativity, because the first 9 days of Av, 10 days of Av, these are the days in which the temples are being destroyed. Okay? What? By what? They were burned. When we let the fire of ego and selfishness to erupt without eradicating it on time, that can destroy and burn and consume down everything that is dear to us. Okay? What did that? What did do it? Remember what we said about Leo? I am the one who's giving here the advices. Everybody's supposed to follow me. Right? By the way, the sun. What is the position of the sun relatively to the other planets? All the planets are dancing around the sun. The Leo, he has a need that everyone will dance around him. And he's also the charm and the charisma and the magic to make people to do that. Okay? But what happens if you use that charisma for your ego, for your self-drama, selfish drama? There's no light over there. There will be only a disaster. What destroyed the temple? The fire of the different sections in Jerusalem, putting each other's ammunition, treasury, and all other supplies into fire. The Romans were standing around this holy city of Jerusalem and watching how the Jews go on and burn each other's food and supplies. Of course, when that was burned, it just was a matter of time that the people inside the walls were so exhausted, and finally they started to lose. The temple went on fire because of that hatred for no reason. What do you mean hatred for no reason? Is there hatred for a reason? No, it's hatred can never give you any additional value. Hatred only burns and destroys the one who's hateful. No winners with hatred. Okay? No winners, only losers. So it's all about that time, and therefore, when we allow the fire of the ego of the Leo, and everyone in this month has that, do you want to say that all the people that were under the siege of the Romans in the walls of Jerusalem, everybody was a Leo? No, but everybody was affected because everybody was a partner to the crime of arguing in a way that you're willing to die just that the other one won't have any benefit out of it. This is a very terrible, destructive hatred. Okay, so now let's continue about what does it tell us about people of the sign of Leo. And we know that Leo, when we're talking about the holy beast of the chariot of Ezekiel, a lion is one of them. And you know what, if you notice, the lion is the middle of the summer. But if you notice, last season, the spring, the middle of the spring is the month of Taurus. And Taurus is the ox, which is another face of the chariot of Ezekiel. So we have the ox, we have the lion, okay? The lion is for the right, which is water. The ox is for the left, which is fire, north, okay? Now, when we look at the next season, which is the fall, the middle sign is Scorpio. But we know that in astrology it says when the Scorpio overcomes their own drama, they can lift themselves up to become an eagle in the sky. Here you've got the eagle. That's a third face of the chariot of Ezekiel. And the eagle is a central column, and it is a sign, an air sign. The fourth one will be human. Well, what's the sign of human? The middle month of the winter is, what is it? Aquarius. Did you ever look carefully on the sign, the pictogram of the sign of Aquarius? Okay, you see the bucket. But the bucket is a small part of the picture. Most of the picture is a man holding the bucket. That's human. That's the fourth face of the chariot of Ezekiel. Ox, lion, eagle, human. These are the four faces. Okay, the four faces of the chariot. What does it mean? This is human, is the earth, it is Malchut, it is the vessel of the whole creation. Okay, now, when we understand that, we understand that Leo, one hand they love to give, and they love it that everybody will see that they are the ones who gave. Okay? Because we know, for politicians, everything is PR. Leos, everything is PR. What people think about me, how was the drama. You want to quiet down a Leo that is like going into you like 10,000 miles an hour or a second. Give him a compliment. Show him that you are subservient to him. Bow down to him. Immediately, he will have some mercy for you. Okay? That's a lion. That's a Leo. The moment you say, oh, your Royal Highness, I made a mistake, I hurt your pride and I just hurt your honor. I'm so sorry, I didn't know who you are. Now I know you're the greatest king on earth. Wow, do you think I'm the greatest king on earth? Okay. There's no drama anymore because you started a no drama. The drama of worshiping the Leo. Okay? So are they really angry or just want to put you inside their own drama in which they are the kings of the universe? Okay? And you have to respect it. You can't just tell them, oh, you're just no one, you're just like everybody else. A Leo knows he's not like everybody else. He knows he was born with a crown. Okay, not with a silver spoon. He was born with a crown. Now try to take away the crown from him. Oh, you'll have a drama. Now, so we know about the Leos that they are outgoing, they love to be in the front, they love that everybody will see them, they can't stand being in the sideways or behind the scenes. Everybody have to see that they are in the scenes, that they are running the show, they have the say, and you have to respect them for that because you have to behave to them like they are the great royal of the era. That's how you get the Leo under, your supervision without them noticing that. You understand that it's very easy for somebody with a very strong Leo characteristics, without they fall into a charlatan, somebody that will, with flattery and all kinds of charms and magic of being nice, will just make them trust. Just do it. And they, like the king, does the king go around and clean the places? Does he do the business online in the marketplace? No. You always send somebody to do it for you. You always have servant. So the moment somebody comes to the Leo with, I am at your service, your Royal Highness, that servant, like in many, many, many times along history, that servant becomes the real master. And also, you will see as a Leo, you will see exactly, not more and more less than what your servant will allow you to see. And the person's vision and consciousness is a result of their sight, which means what is it you see is coming to you in the future. Who knows? But the moment you're clean enough and you're at service, you will know everything. Okay? So when you're at service, the question is like this. Are the Leos that we know, are they at service? And I'll just expand that issue. Like when you learn in business management about leaders, about leadership, about CEOs of great companies, winning big time great companies. When you're involved with that, you realize that there are few types of leaders. Okay? And that plays with the names of the planet. We are talking about the sun. However, in Hebrew, the sun has few names. Okay? One name is Chama, the hot one, and one day is Bina. I'm sorry, which is Chama, the hot one, and one is Shemesh. Shemesh comes from the Hebrew word Shamash. Shamash is your butler, your servant. Now, so when you have a CEO of a company or a leader of a country, you can be like, that person can be like the Chama. Chama means heat. This kind of a leader is the leader of the wrong Leo type. I know it all. I'm the only one who knows it all. Everybody must listen to me. Nobody's entitled to any other opinion about the running of the business. I'm not listening to everybody. And if somebody will try to challenge my vision, he will be hung, or his head will be chopped off, because I am the king. What's the problem with these kind of people? Chama means hot. What happens to when you get too close to the sun? You'll get burned. Those people have the tendency to burn whoever is around them till they are being consumed. That's why they have this inner power of destruction of whatever they run and they build. They have also an inner destructive thing, because these are the CEOs or the department heads that are always right and are always aggravated because other people are not right. And what will happen if I was not here? If I wouldn't do anything, nothing will happen. Which means they just have this thing of making everybody look like a zero when they take all the credit to all what is good. Okay? This kind of a Leo, that's Chama type. This is the leader that burns whoever is around him and destroys it. The same thing, when you do that, they found out in the 80s that will be the result of that. These people in their 30s and 40s, they have the tendency to develop coronary disease. What's a coronary disease? Inflammation of the arteries of the heart. What makes that happen? Says the Zohar 2,000 years ago. That's when you inflame yourself with Leo negative energy. I'm the only one who's right. Nobody's right like I am. And when that is inflamed, the result will be secretion of too much cholesterol. The cholesterol will settle on the arteries of the heart and will create an inflammation. Only some, 40, 50 years ago, modern science realized that coronary disease is inflammation of the arteries of the heart, which cholesterol is a very strong vehicle for that. Okay? Now, but we have another type, which is called Shemesh, which is another name in Hebrew for the sun. What's the difference? This is the leader. This is the leader who shines to all, but is always aware that he's a servant, because in Hebrew, Shemesh comes from the word Shamash, as I said, a butler, a servant. He's Meshamesh. I'm serving a higher purpose. When we go, the definition that the king and the ruler is a civil servant is penetrating to the West when? 1215, the Magna Carta. The barons and the nobility of England used the opportunity that Richard the Lionheart, on his cruise of the crusade to conquer the Holy Land and kill and murder all the Jews of the Holy Land, we're talking about the 11th century, 11th century. When that fails and England is bankrupt, King John I is a weak, not like his brother Richard's Lionheart. he stays with the bankruptcy of England. And the barons are taking the opportunity and they force him to sign the Magna Carta, which says the first time in the West that the king is a civil servant and he rules only in the condition that he serves his citizens. The first time that subjects become citizens, which means till that moment, every king in Europe, if you wanted your subjects food, money, wife, daughter, assets, whatever, you could take it because you're the king, you can do everything. The Magna Carta started the new idea that the king is a civil servant, which means he can be thrown from his throne just because it's not serving the purpose, which is the benefit of the nation. But if you know that well, if you read the Torah about Som Tasim Alecha Melech, what are the rules of the king, you understand that the king, the biblical, according to the Bible rules, the first thing when you become a king and being, crowned as a king, you have to write the whole Torah by yourself. When you have a kosher Torah that you wrote by yourself as a king, you have to carry it with you wherever you go. Why? To remind you, first of all, to make sure you read the law. Second, to remind you that the law is above you. Okay, that's why you have to carry it wherever you go. You can't go around without the Torah. Okay, which means the idea that the king is a civil servant and he is there to serve the public. That is from the Torah. Now, if we look forwards, the result was that when we're talking about people having loyalty to the crown, to the country in England, that was higher than anybody else, because if you know Kabbalah, when you have ownership, okay, you feel you have shares in your country or in your company, your production will be much higher than a slave. Correct? And therefore, England had moved forward and passed over all the other powers of the European continent, till it became the empire in which the sun never sets, because it was ruling over, I think, more than 20% of the continental area of the planet Earth. Why? Because the moment you have ownership and you know that the crown serves you, you are willing to serve the crown. Okay? Going forward, when did the big empires of Europe started to shine really and to become superpowers? We're talking about the 19th century, when people started to be emancipated and they started to have civil rights. Correct? And then you see the difference. The countries in which the economy burst like crazy and turned them as superpowers, they were the countries in which there were values, the biblical values of honesty, okay, that both sides, which means the government and the people, served and respected generally. Those countries that had those values, biblical values, the most, they were the most productive. Okay? And if you notice, they were more, they're also more Protestant, evangelical, which means getting out of the Catholic. What is the Catholic Church? It's basically you are nothing and nothing, you own nothing. You better give up your power and everything belongs to the Pope, the Church, and the ruler. That was basically a very, very successful political startup that worked amazingly for a long time. But if you see the places that have a Catholic church in rule, they were never really the superpowers. Okay? Not for long. But the production, They were, for a while. They could be like Spain or Portugal, whatever. But when we're talking about America, America is not Catholic. Okay? The main engine of Germany is not Catholic. It's Protestant. The same thing with Scandinavia, and especially England, which is not Catholic since King Henry VIII, right? So you see that project and starting to move forward. But something happened, and the magic was gone. And what happened was, and that's so important for our discussion today, that when you see the big crisis of modern democracies, and this crisis is a direct result of people that are in the government, and they are subjected to a new culture, the culture of me. If it's good for me, it must be good. It must be kosher. It fits. Which means, what about the values of do not steal, do not kill, do not destroy somebody else, don't be dishonest? What about that? And we see that the civil servants all over the democratic world are starting to disappear as civil servants. They are the people holding the power, and you look at the person and you realize he's holding the power. He's so excited about holding the power, and we know that power corrupts. Without the biblical values, democracy has no future. Because Rabbi Astrology is saying, like, who is going to make sure that all the people in the big bureaucratic system are going to function? They get the salary anyway. Why should they excel unless they get bribery? They get something for themselves without a real deep spiritual education. The moment there is no very strong transparency and a system that, cause and effect, crime and punishment, if there's no system that is really transparent, people will betray the trust they have been, given when they got the power. And modern countries today have huge budgets because the world together is much richer than it used to be. Everybody wants to be a billionaire. And the connection today between civil servants and power, business power, and politics is so strong, like Siamese twins. You can't tell when this is finished and this one is starting. And that's why the whole democratic system is collapsing. When people don't trust anymore any system, not the police system, not the judicial system, not the government system, and not the, if it's president, whatever. And you see that suspicion everywhere, and it's growing stronger and stronger as people become more and more secular. I don't blame the people become secular, because believing in organized religion, the religion did enough to justify the hate that people have towards organized religion, because the same story is over there. Give too much power to somebody, that's a poison, first of all, to that person, because, remember, let's go back, we're starting with the Leo. You are being entrusted with the power, with the charisma, with the responsibility. Are you going to be the sun, burning sun? Are you going to burn everybody around you because it's all about you? Or are you going to be the servant because God has entrusted me with that power, and therefore I have to handle it with care so I do not abuse my power, so I can really be of service and do my personal mission and vision. When you don't have, whoever remembers that a few decades ago, I think it was in the 80s and 90s, the big meat company in America, which is a kosher company, it's called Hebrew National. And they made a big campaign that put them ahead of everybody else. And what did they say? We answer to a higher authority. And from that, people in America started to realize, yes, if it's not just the government they obey to the rules of God. So kosher became in that moment cleaner and trustworthy. Because we're not just obeying the government, we go by the law of God. So the problem is that more and more people declare themselves as the men or women of God, betrayed their followers. So we are witnessing a huge distrust or mistrust of the masses with anyone with power. And when you don't have that trust in the sun, the planets are trying to find another sun to rotate around. And meanwhile, the result is this huge chaos, and especially now, with the coronavirus, that everybody knows that this is not supposed to be such a great disaster. Not supposed to be. But everybody looks at their government and they say, why is it that it's all about them? Why it's not about us? Why they don't really care about themselves, about us? We put them over there. We gave them the power. We are paying out taxes to them in one condition, that we'll see them taking care of our business, and they don't. They're so busy with themselves. So if we were in a trouble till the end of 2019, the beginning of 2020 showed the story about the child who were screaming, "The king is naked, the king is naked." This is what we're going through. The king is naked. And who is the king? Look around. Whoever has power, the more power they have, the less we trust them. Why? If we don't really early bring in the values that are what the Zohar is teaching us, these are existential values. You're not doing anybody a favor when you're honest. You're not doing anybody a favor when you don't abuse their rights for happiness, for power, whatever. Why is it? What happened to American Constitution that is the base of all democracies around the world? The problem is, those people in power, they don't believe it anymore. They think this is just a show. It's all about the PR show. Fake it and they'll believe it. And people more and more don't trust that fake. And we will have to reinvent our kingdoms, our governments, our civil servants, and first of all, it starts from ourselves. Because you can't cheat the universe and expect, being happy. If you don't respect the right of people around you and beneath you, or depend on you. I'll tell you a story. I was invited, it was like 15 years ago, to a very, very, I won't say which country was it, but it was a big, big government office. And the chairman of the workers union of the office came to me and said, it is known in the world that the highest rates of mental issues, especially depression, you will find where? In the government bodies, among government workers. If you abuse your rights and your salary, what do you expect to be happy? You abuse the light. You abuse all the rules of the universe. You abuse power. You abuse other people. How can you expect to connect to happiness when you can't understand that you have to answer to a higher authority? Which means it doesn't matter if you're the king of the jungle, or you're the king of England, or the king of whatever, or the president, or the prime minister, or you're just the king of your department. If you don't answer to a higher authority, because each one of us has a Leo within us somewhere. Most people, you give them power, they just change, like becoming somebody totally else. If If you don't answer to a higher authority, if you don't serve the people that you're there, it could be like a clerk in the bank or something like this. You're being put over there to serve other people. If you don't see it as a mission, because that's the way to connect to the light of God, don't be surprised that your life is a mess, that you are depressed, that you don't feel lucky, that you don't feel light in your life, that something is wrong, I don't know why, and I bought that beautiful house and that beautiful car, and it's still I'm not happy, and it will never satiate you, because you're not connected to the light. You're not shining anymore. And that's your calling. So that's, of course, to every Leo, but every person that is in charge of somebody else's, property, need, happiness. So that's about all of us. Because you could be a father or a mother or a worker in somewhere that you need to give service that really can make a difference in somebody else's life. That's your calling. You have to answer to a higher authority. And if you don't, and your only authority is your own desire to receive for the self alone, all of the gifts that you'll be given will be taken away from you. The letter that created the sun is the letter Kaf. And the beginning of the Zohar, the introduction to the Zohar, there's a whole article about the secret of the Hebrew letters. And it says over there that when the letter Kaf went down from the throne, because the word Keter, the crown, starts with the letter Kaf. The whole world started, the whole universe started to shake. And everybody says, go back to your place, we need you over there. So the sun is ruled by the letter Kaf, which is the crown. Okay? And the letter Kaf has this side, this look, like this. Okay? Which is the line above and the line below. Together, Kaf is 20. 20 Sefirot of the direct light, which is all what the light wants to give you. But there's also 20 Sefirot, which is the 10 Sefirot of the light that the Creator wants to give you. But in order for that to manifest, you have to create your own 10 Sefirot of returning light, which means be there for others, love others as you love yourself. Why? Because the 10 Sefirot of the direct light cannot manifest unless you take in charge and you shine by yourself. So this is the letter Kaf. Now, the letter for, as we said, so the letters Kaf and Tet are so powerful. So powerful. This is the good, and this is the ability to control everything. The crown. Oh, by the way, crown in Latin is corona. Somebody is taking measures and move on to show who is running the show. Because biblically, Kabbalistically, the crown in Hebrew means also to surround everything. What is the crown? The crown sits on the head of the king. And in Hebrew, there's a game of words between Keter and the word to be the cause of. Lechater means in Hebrew to surround. Did you notice that how does a crown look like? It crowns the head of the king, which is who's in charge? The one whose the crown belongs to, and that's God. The king becomes a king from just a simple human being only when he is being crowned. The king will die, but the crown that symbolizes God's light is staying forever. That crown stepped forward. Hey guys, remember, I'm in charge. You had like a delusion that you are in charge. I'm not in charge. You just can't do whatever you want to do. Oh, you know what the joke, what they say, you want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. If somebody realized that Think about the last few months and billions of people. They had so many plans. What a joke. Just because the Keter make the move. Guys, I'm in charge over here and nobody makes plans anymore. You should reconsider your route. And it has to be with the right thinking and consciousness that there is a light up there and you should answer to a higher authority. Otherwise, the Leo, anybody in charge, is dead before even he started the project. Because corruption is the biggest poison for the person's soul. Thank you so much. Should have a great holiday of love. And before that, turn all the negativity of this month into positivity. We just got the key. Thank you so much.